Have you ever asked yourself if you're really, at the end of the day, wasting your time stacking gold and silver? And if so, how much time have you really kind of wasted? Now, when you start stacking, you do it for a variety of reasons. You'll hear many pure stackers say that the reason is, to store value outside the system or to, accumulate funds. Some people do it for investment, some people do it as a collectible. But the thing is that, as with anything in life, the only thing you don't get back is time. Money can be made, money can be lost. Time, your health, you're not going to get it back once it's gone. Now, metals, where do they really fit in everything that goes on a daily basis? Again, like anything, right? Think about like where the other places that your money goes other than, the necessities. You could have it sitting in a savings account, you could have it in stocks, you could have it in crypto, you could have it in a bunch of things, real estate, a bunch of different things for a bunch of different reasons. But when it comes back to metals, a lot of the hype, they're going to skyrocket in value. They're going to, do this or that. They keep up with inflation. A lot of these things, they've been said time and time again to the point where, again, new stackers especially really, really believe that they're true. Even seasoned stackers, people have been doing it 30, 40 years, they'll tell you, if I look back right now, it's kept up with inflation, or, I've gotten a lot of growth. But again, that growth, really, when you think of things like that, it's really concentrated to a few set, time periods, whether it's 2008, whether it's the pandemic, causing prices to rise. And again, think back to those same periods, a lot of different things rose in value, not just metals. And that's the context that you lose with, stacking precious metals, because you come into this environment where the only place that you can really, get information on metals or talk about metals is in the metals community. Whereas more traditional things like stocks or things like that, it's not just the investment community. Normal people may mention things about stocks or funds or just the markets in general. Metals is different. Metals doesn't have that kind of notoriety for again, a wide variety of reasons. But that is one of the drawbacks of stacking metals. You don't get that wider view of what it is to actually be putting your money into this kind of thing. You get the narrow view of the community. And that's normal. That's kind of a natural byproduct of what it is to have metals. It's not something for everybody. It's part of a smaller community. Now, again, that being said, what you'll hear of, in the stacking community is that, this is something that appeals to everyone. This is something that everybody recognizes has value. That may or may not be the case. And again, particularly with silver. Now, gold, most people on planet Earth know that gold has value. Now, silver, some, particularly here in the United States, from what I understand, may understand that there's some value there with silver. But many don't know the value of the actual fiat value of either of them. As far as, hey, how much does an ounce cost of silver or gold? So how much utility during the SHTF or during the economic collapse is silver really going to have? Or even gold? I mean, at that point, what is this stuff really worth in that scenario? Bread, water, skills of other types, those may be worth far more than what you have here. And the time and effort and money that you're putting into this kind of thing may not pay off the way you think it will. Now, with the tragedy in, Israel, with Hamas's terrorist attack on Israel, and unfortunately, all of the deaths that are going to happen on the Palestinian side after, the attack, which again, think of, our own 9/11. We, attacked, Afghanistan and, other places, in vengeance to, try to stamp out the terrorists. Did it work? No. In the end, we spent tons of treasure and lives, to, again, basically be in the same place that we started. We're no safer now than we were then. It's a crazy world. And again, this kind of thing with, Palestine and Israel, it's going to be more of the same. It's been going on for so long. It's this, the tale as old as time. The hard part is, again, when you're watching it unfold in real time, where, Israel, again, who's going to blame them for, wanting vengeance and wanting to go stamp out the terrorists? The problem is, how do you tell the terrorists from the regular people? Collateral damage is what it's going to be as far as the rest of the lives, of the other Palestinians. this whole order to evacuate, how many, hundreds of thousands or north of 1 million people from one part of Gaza to another. Obviously, that's not going to happen. So what's going to happen? Obviously, it seems like Israel's, planning a ground assault. Now, think about it from, again, the practical side, not from your politics or your beliefs about that situation. The practical side. Look at what's going on in Gaza. The water's cut off. The electricity's cut off. The communications are cut off. So if you're in that environment, and let's say, you do have things like this, what good is this going to do you in that environment? It's not going to. What if, Israel does do a ground invasion and you're in there? Is this stuff going to help you? Probably not. Now, gold, maybe you buy your ticket out of Dodge with gold, that kind of thing. These kind of things, again, they're obscure, right? You don't ever plan on being in that scenario. But what if it did come down that way? What if something did happen here where, you needed that value? Would this kind of stuff, pass the muster? Secondly, does it make you a target? You know what I mean? Once you make it clear that you have access to this kind of stuff, whereas others don't, is there a bigger target on your head than the utility of something like this? That is a question. That is a real question, particularly with silver, again, because this isn't something that you can hide in your pocket. You can hide $10,000 worth of gold value easily, no problem. $100,000 worth of gold value easily, no problem. This kind of stuff, not going to happen. Not going to happen. And so where is the utility there? It is really crazy. Again, the way that you have to think of these things and, comparing it to what's going on in, Gaza and Israel is obviously the extreme edge, but it provides context because think about these things that, again, are ingrained into the stacking community. It's a protection, it gives you options should, the unimaginable happen. Maybe, possibly, but again, even between silver and gold, there's huge, pros and cons between each. But at the end of the day, does the general public understand either or know the value of either? Probably not. So finding those people who would know what the value of this kind of stuff is, few and far between. Even gold, which again, I would say everybody kind of knows gold, it has value. Do they actually know what that value is? Probably not. And that may be difficult too with gold because it's so concentrated that a very small amount is still very valuable. That's difficult. And that's why as stackers, many gravitate towards silver thinking, I can't break up my gold small enough to be where I would actually spend gold. I need something that's more, a smaller value for the same kind of transactional medium, which would be silver. The problem is, again, the general public has no idea what any of that's worth. It really is a crazy world that we live in. And again, in my last video, what I was talking about is just that when you think of, metals values and, how they move one day to the next, it's just like the stock market. Anytime there's a move one way or the other, someone jumps out with a reason of this is why it's happening and, this is what to expect. The reality is, again, you might as well just roll the dice either way. They don't know, you don't know, and you have no control either way. You are forced to, ride the tide whichever way, metals go. Now, you'll see in the stacking community, again, the attitude, well, great, if it falls in value, I'll just buy more. How long can you actually go down that road? Okay, so if the expectation is, yes, there's going to be a dip and it's going to go back up, well then, okay, that makes sense. But if, it starts to trend downward and goes back down to where it was, a la what they saw, in 2011, dropping from, what was it, gold was 2,000 something an ounce and went back down. Gold fell to, the 1100s pre-pandemic? That's a huge drop. At what point is it no longer, I'll just buy more to, this probably isn't the right place for me? Those are the questions that you got to ask yourself, especially as you build a bigger and bigger stack. There's more value locked up in it. Value that potentially could be in something else that provides more value. Now, again, silver and gold, typically people don't buy it for growth. Although, the new people think that, if they watch hype videos, that it's just going to double up at some point like it did during the pandemic. That's probably not what's going to happen. And so not attaining growth from assets like this is a huge deal, particularly over a period of time. Because as I said at the onset, the only thing you don't get back is time.